freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your mega preview pod for this week's The Sentry. Joining to help me break it all down, it's him. I've got him. It is Patrick McDonald.
What's going on, Rick? Only the two of us today on this fine Tuesday. Happy New Year's Eve to you as well. I've got a couple bones to pick, honestly, already. Not even the new year yet.
Stand by for that, because I've got a bone to pick with all of those who have not yet cast their vote for the best golf podcast in the Sports Podcast Awards. I promise you, if we win, when we win, I will stop talking about this and I'll never ask for it again. You have until January 13th. It takes 18 seconds to vote. Go ahead and fire it out there. The link is in the description. Josh has been tweeting about it. We are up against some boppers, but I like the momentum that we have building right now. And Patrick, these people, they're not going to want to look back on January 14th when some other podcast besides their podcast of choice, us, the First Cut, is holding up a trophy. It's going to be ugly, man. You got to get out there. You can't just take these votes for granted.
Exactly. There's a potential here that J14 looks even worse than J6. And it's up to those voters out there to make sure that doesn't happen.
Many people are saying that. Many people indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. So get your vote in. We would much appreciate it. And we are just, let me do a couple of quick math. I'm on the West Coast, so 5 p.m. Eastern time set. We are like 6 hours and 58 minutes away from East Coast New Year's, January 1st, 2025, Patrick. I think we should just stay live and start counting it down right now.
Should we do our own Times Square New Year's? I'm surprised CBS Sports hasn't sent us out to Times Square to do the New Year's.
Where would they host if there was a golf version of this? Where would they host it? Because let's be real, it's not going to be Augusta National, because Times Square is not like it's not like America's greatest place, right? It's just a place, a memorable place in a big city. What would the golf equivalent of Times Square be?
When I think about entertainment and concerts on the PGA Tour, I think of one place, and it's the 17th green at TPC Sawgrass. They'd have us out on the island green. We'd have all the big wigs walking down that little strip of land, shaking hands with us, doing shots, maybe champagne flutes, whatever the poison of choice is, and just cycling these guys in and out until the ball drops. And the ball would be, I don't know, maybe a tee shot or something at us, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about this? How about TPC Scottsdale? How about you throw up the arena? You leave it up all year. You're going to have to, it's probably already done, right? We're going to be there in a couple of weeks anyway. Let's go there December 31st. We'll fill out the 16,000 seats. We'll count it down. We'll go nuts. And I like the idea. Yeah, somebody hits a shot that as we crest the new year, lands on the green. And could you imagine how raucous it would be if one year somebody actually made it?
Oh gosh. I think we fixed the New Year's Eve watch party, because from what I've been told, they've been pretty bad lately.
Do you stay up and watch?
Absolutely not. Okay. I will be in bed probably, I'm a party animal this year, probably 11.
Oh, wow.
I know. Yeah. No big deal. No big deal.
I have not seen 11 o'clock in a long time.
Settle down, Patty.
Let me tell you that. What are your bones to pick?
Rick, you would not believe what happened to me this morning.
I certainly will not believe this.
So I'm playing tennis. It's around 8:30, 9 a.m. with my buddy on a tennis court. Obviously, we are into our second set. It's heated back and forth. All of Charleston's out and watching. People walking their dogs are stopping, taking pictures, cheering us on. It's classic Rafa Fed, mid-early 2000s, 2010s, whatever you want to call it. And this group of 12 heathens, street thugs, come up. Their age probably 70 to 90 years old.
So these are pickleballers.
and they come up to us. And we were on tennis courts that are lined for pickleball. Mind you, there are 2 pickleball courts in sight that are empty. They come up to me. They're like, "Hey, do you mind going to a different court? There's 1 tennis court open. You mind finishing your game there? So us 12 can play all by each other in 3 different pickleball games." And I'm like, fine. You know what? I'm gonna be the bigger man here. I don't want to punch an old man, old women at this point. It's the end of the year. Got to end it on a high note. So I'm gathering up all my stuff, and this lady, she's trying to calm down the situation, ease the tensions. And she comes up to me. She goes, "Ah, aren't us pickleballers the absolute worst?" And Rick, I look at her straight in the face, and I pull out my Walter White impersonation, and I go, "You're goddamn right."
Oh my gosh.
And I just walk away.
Patrick, you and the pickleballers with this growing feud.
It's just an pandemic, an epidemic, whatever. I don't know the difference between
Yeah,
the 2.
you're not willing to accept the future of recreational sport. I mean, this is UFC putting boxing out to pasture, right? You know, you're hanging on to this old, just, ridiculous sport that you call tennis. Doesn't even have a proper scoring system. And the young up and coming pickleballers are really ruffling your feathers.
This war has been raging for years now. I got somehow into the pickleball Twitter corner one day when I tweeted a video of Scottie Scheffler dicing up their world number 1. I was on Instagram accounts. I received hate mail. They found my email somehow. And then the real life stories just back it up. The people who make pickleball their personality, Rick, we're leaving them behind in 2024. They're not coming with us in 25.
All right. Well, we'll see. I bet you they'll be there, but we'll just have to see how you interact with them. Speaking of the world's number 1, I don't think he's playing pickleball anytime soon, Patrick, because according to a statement, according to his representation, Scottie Scheffler on Christmas Day sustained a puncture wound. The palm of his right hand from some broken glass, required a little bit of surgery to clean that spot up. And this will sideline old Scottie 3 to 4 weeks before we see him return to action. So clearly, obviously not playing in the Sentry this week.
Coincidentally, I also broke a glass on Christmas Day. So I have that in common with the world number 1. People are assuming it's a wine glass. I've seen a lot of people just take it as a wine glass. What do you think, Rick? Maybe bourbon? Maybe plates? I don't know.
I have received some conspiracy theories in my.
Oh, let's hear them.
Well,
hear them. Air them out.
I don't think we're going to do that. I've not quite vetted them all just yet. But if I were Scottie Scheffler and I was at home and I was cooking and Meredith and the baby and everybody's having a great time, I think I would be drinking, yes, like a little, like one of those half, what are they? They're not called highball glasses, right? They're called like the half glass, big round ice cube in it, that type of deal.
Yeah, I could see that. He's probably, what's a good, I'm not going to say it. Yeah, no, you're probably right. But when it comes to the hand injury, that's not a great spot to have surgery, not even stitches, Rick. Surgery. So he had to go under.
Can they just do like general anesthesia for your hands?
Maybe they just numb it.
They don't have to knock you out for that, right?
No.
Have you ever gone under?
Yeah. So this tooth right here.
Yep.
There was in my gum, there was another little tooth blocking it. And so they had to put me under to take that tooth out, go in my gum.
An intruder.
I had an extra tooth.
Wow.
Some people have like an extra nipple. I had an extra tooth. And they had to take a chain. And so in like 5th grade, I just had a chain hanging in my mouth. It was pretty cool. Street rep all-time high. That's the only time though. What about you?
A couple times, I think. Did they put you under? I had my wisdom teeth. I think I went under for that. More recently, I had my gallbladder removed. That's a big boy. They remove you for they put you under for that.
What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Like 6 years ago.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the gallbladder do?
Nah, not much, quite honestly.
Okay. So it's kind of like your kidney.
Like one of those. One of those. Well, it's not the hand, which is where Scottie's dealing with his issue. He's not playing. It's not the toe, the right pinky toe of Viktor Hovland, which is now broken. That is thanks to the bed frame in his room in Hawaii. Still in the field, Patrick. He said he told Eurosport in Norwegian, which was then translated. He's going to try to tape it up and hit some painkillers and see if he can get through.
Viktor Hovland's hilarious. He's just absolutely hilarious to follow along on social media in general. If you don't, he absolutely deserves a follow. Just his off-season shenanigans, what he's eating, where he's going, all that stuff. And then he puts up bed frame 1, Viktor Hovland 0. If I was him, I would probably not try to go. Kapalua is literally the toughest walk on the PGA Tour schedule outside of maybe Augusta National. So kudos to him for trying to go. Not only did he break his right pinky toe, but he broke up with Joe Mayo for the second time, which, I mean, everyone knows that couple, Rick. Oh, they're back together. They're off again. They're back together. They're just so toxic. And maybe that's Joe Mayo and Viktor Hovland. I read a little bit of the story and him saying he kind of knows everything. So why does he need someone like Joe Mayo anymore? Which we'll see if it helps or not.
He's going to take. He said he's going to take some more ownership in his swing and just kind of go about it by himself. And then even I think at the first time they broke up, Joe Mayo. I don't know if have you ever had a chance to meet Joe Mayo, Patrick?
No, I would love the opportunity though.
It is, he knows it. He says it. I think he's very aware of this. He is a massive personality. And I think that spending a lot of time with him, you will either fall deep in love with Joe Mayo or you will fall deep in hate against Joe Mayo. And I think that's just, there are some personalities like that. He knows it. He said he's always been like that. So I don't know if those personalities were just ones to really work well together.
They're very different. Viktor is very to himself, not out there. Joe Mayo is
the opposite.
I mean, his Instagram videos sometimes pop up on my feed, and I'll give him a watch. No follow though. He hasn't earned that yet. Not like Viktor.
It is a little bit of a false start to the year for Viktor, right? I mean, I think that 2025 was hopefully shaping up to be a lot different than 2024. And now first week of the year, you're dealing with this stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it is just not what you want to do to get your year off started. And it felt like he found some form there at the end of the year. He had his back up against the wall. He plays great at the St. Jude Championship. People forget he had a putt on the 72nd hole to apply a little pressure on Hideki Matsuyama and get within 1, I think, of that tournament. He was outside of the BMW cutoff, played himself into that. Then he played himself into the Tour Championship as well. And for as bad as Viktor Hovland played in 2024, the positives are when his short game was somewhat decent. Well, guess what? He almost won a playoff event, and he almost won the PGA Championship. And you look at the year-end FedEx Cup standings, Rick, he finished top 15. And he was horrible all year, and he barely played.
Yes, I think that should be the overall takeaway. If you're sitting there on New Year's Eve 2024 or New Year's Eve 2025, I guess, and you're looking back at your year, you say that was as bad as I've ever been. I did not play even nearly as much as I wanted to, let alone as well. I was the 15th best player on tour. That's the takeaway. Build off of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to reset. We're going to turn our attention to the Sentry. I'm going to hit some of these comments here, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. The chat is showing up here. Steve has voted for us. Debbie wishes us a happy new year. Thank you. Joseph says happy new year. Kevin thinks we could do better than Ryan Seacrest. And Dees, Patrick, thinks the host kind of stinks. The other guy's cool, though. So I agree. I'm happy to be in the presence of Patrick Cool Guy McDonald.
Man, that's so embarrassing. That's my burner account.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. That would be good. That would be good. News on the one and done. I know everybody is chomping at the bit, and trust me, we are too. Apparently, it's going to be big, Patrick. It's going to be big. It's going to be special. The big wigs behind the scenes are making everything come together. And I soon, the moment we have an update, that link will be available, but it is not ready yet.
Yes, unfortunately, there's going to be some delay to it. Mostly because if we want to point fingers at anyone, Mark's not going to get his pick in on time. So we're just going to delay it until he can get his pick in on time. And we don't know when that's going to be. It could be a couple weeks from now, maybe February for all we know, West Coast swing. But when he does, you guys will be rewarded with an opportunity of a lifetime.
I hope we are not now overselling this.
They're like, are these guys gonna send us like Masters tickets?
I know that's what it sounds like. That is not true. I could just knock that one down right now. There will be no Masters tickets involved. But
I honestly have no idea. I don't know. I haven't been in any of the conversations.
So I was in the conversation like 3 months ago, and I know what it sounded like was going to happen then, and I don't know how it has evolved since then, but it was cool when I heard about it.
Okay. So yeah, according to producer Josh and Rick alluded to, the big wigs got it. I think they have to sell off some assets here, get liquid. And once they get liquid, we can get moving.
All right. Well, I guess we'll get moving when things get liquid. Now, the plantation course, we see it every single year. It is going to be a likely birdie fest, Patrick, unless we can get some winds whipping around this place. However, I will note this, the majority of the history of this event has been as the Tournament of Champions. That's not the case anymore, right? So we used to go from 28 to 32, 35 guys, depending on how many winners there were the previous year. Now that's been expanded. So now you can get in by being inside the top 50 of the FedEx Cup standings the previous year, plus any winners. So we've got 60 in the field for this week. It gets the signature event designation. So here we go. Signature event 1, week 1 of the year.
With the change from the Sentry Tournament of Champions to just the Sentry, it's kind of lost a little luster, I think. Maybe a little meaning to it. Like you finish inside the top 50 and you get to come here. Granted, a lot of these guys towards the bottom of the field, they won. But could you guess what? Okay, so Bryce Garnett is 700 to 1 to win this tournament.
Okay.
What do you think he finished in the FedEx Cup this year?
Well, he won, but he won an alternate field event, right? So it's probably like 300 points. So I think that 300-ish or 400 points would have put you 137.
What am I looking at right now? What do you finish?
I thought, so hold on. You asked a question you didn't know the answer to?
No, absolutely not. He finished 88th. That can't be right. I thought it was going to be something a lot worse. Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess he finished 88th.
Chris Goddard up 95th. He's in the field. I don't know.
What about
Davis Riley's in the field? Oh, he won. Malnati.
Well, so you're just saying that,
all these guys won, I guess.
It used to be a little more exclusive than it is right now.
Yeah. And honestly, like I understand why they did it with Live Golf and trying to line these guys' pockets. If you think about who wouldn't be in this field if it was only winners, there's no Colin, JT, Ludwig, Cantlay, Sahith, Burns, Fitzpatrick, Homa, all of these guys. The field would be Scottie Scheffler, who's out, and I guess Robert McIntyre versus Wyndham Clark or something against Xander Schauffele, who I forgot. So I don't know how I really feel about it. Maybe it's because Scheffler's out. I think that's a huge bummer, just coming off the year he had. And I know Rory likes to start his year in the Middle East and get going that way on the DP World Tour. It would be cool to see him come to Kapalua. I don't think it's ever going to happen, unfortunately, but that's just my take on it.
Yeah, there's a Dubai event, I believe, the first, well, I guess the second week of January. I think it starts the 10th or something like that, that he usually plays. So that's why he is not teeing it up this time around. And of course, with Scottie Scheffler being out, that makes Xander Schauffele the favorite. He's anywhere from 5 to 5.5 to 1 to win this event. Very clearly the second best player in the world last year. And now he goes to a place where he's played very well. And I don't think that there's any expectation for this to slow down, right? He's just going to kind of roll what he did from 2024 into 2025.
You would think, and like you mentioned, he won here in 2019, probably should have won here in 2020 as well. That three-way playoff between him, Patrick Reed, and Justin Thomas, 3 putts on the 72nd hole. And, lately it hasn't been great around Kapalua. T10 last year, WD the year before, I believe it was a back injury, like 9 holes into the tournament. But man, he's just so well-rounded. He makes a ton of putts, which you're going to have to do this week. After the FedEx Cup playoffs, he was top 25 in each strokes gained metric on the PGA Tour, which is absurd when you think about it. That's obviously changed with the fall swing and all that stuff and him not playing great at the Zozo Championship. But you would think this is a great opportunity for him to just keep on winning.
The first timers, you mentioned Robert McIntyre won twice last year. He's playing this for the first time. A couple of guys who had really good falls in Max Grazerman, Maverick McNeely, even Austin Eckroat, although I guess he won twice as well last year. And then Nick Dunlap is going to start his first calendar year as a professional. So I actually find that those storylines, which one of those guys is going to take the next step? Is Max Grazerman the real deal? I think I've probably gone too far in what I think about Max Grazerman. I'm interested to see what Robert McIntyre does. There are a couple of really strong subplots outside of just the top of the board.
I haven't gotten there with Max Grazerman yet. I don't know why. Maybe it's
probably
just
better. Honestly, it's probably better that you're not.
Like I understand we probably undervalue putting compared to just the rest of the statistics, but he's like a damn good putter. He makes freaking everything, it seems like. And maybe that's why I'm not quite there with him, but I don't know. I just I can't really get behind him. The guy who's going to break out, and Josh got his name wrong in the outline. Sorry to throw you under the bus there, Josh, kind of like what Wyndham Clark did to his caddy, I think, at the API this last year. No, it was the Players Championship. Remember that?
It was the Players, yeah.
When he hit his tee shot on 17, maybe like 12 feet. Dude, I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but he told me something wrong.
Wyndham Clark is like, and I mean this as a compliment, a Looney Tune. Okay.
Yes.
I would not want to meet that guy in a dark alley.
Yes. The Hamburglar. But Josh has him as Davis Thompson. Davis Thompson is my breakout candidate of the first timers. And then I think of people who might never return to Kapalua. It's obviously different now. Maybe Seabez. I don't get Seabez. Good player. Would have won the American Express if not for Dunlap. But I don't really get him. Doesn't do much for me.
Got the money for it because Dunlap was an amateur at the time. I want to talk about the bets with you. We're going to start our very first 2025 segment of the bets where we do matchups, finishing positions, best bets, all that fun stuff. If you have a question in the chat, and it's relevant and it's good. Actually, even if it's not good or irrelevant, we might just cover it. Throw it in the chat right now. The other, okay, who's 2025? Are you more like you can only watch one of these guys in 2025? Is it Patrick Cantlay or is it Tony Finau?
I honestly thought Tony Finau wasn't going to play this week based on his knee surgery and all that stuff. But if I had to watch one of them, it's Patrick Cantlay. Just
coming
because
off the worst year of his career.
Yes, it was bad ball striking, down putting. I believe total strokes gained was the lowest, like you mentioned, worst of his career. So that makes sense. But what he did do was he contended at the U.S. Open. And he played great down the stretch at the President's Cup, making monstrous putts. And so with his game and how well-rounded it is, and maybe all the Xander Schauffele talk kicks him in the ass a little bit, Patrick Cantlay gets things going because he's too good of a golfer to have that major championship resume of his.
Yeah. I do wonder how much the outside stuff impacted Cantlay, or if that's just kind of a convenient excuse for the worst year of his career.
No, I think it probably did. At first, I thought when you said outside stuff, like him listening to this podcast, which I know he does, I'd be like, yeah, he's not reading too much out there. Unless it's a commercial real estate report on, multifamily housing in Scottsdale or something, given his new venture.
Multifamily housing, and I think self-storage units are where the smart people are.
It's like multi-use. You get some warehouse space in an office. The mix
around, maybe some college towns because people, they move their stuff out in the summer, need somewhere to store it. I don't know. I'll look into that, let you know. We are going to turn our attention to the bets. We're going to turn our attention to a little bit of the chat. We're going to get a little spicy. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
At CBS Sports Golazo Network, we're bringing you the game.
Madness of Messi arrives!
Breaking down the game.
This is unlike anything else in the world.
And changing the game.
Get it all for nil.
That means free.
Wow.
And all day long!
24/7.
Patrick, we are back, and Joseph brings up a very good point. Michael Greller will be in Hawaii this week. Jordan Spieth will not be. Joe Greiner will not be because Michael Greller is on the bag for Max Homa this week. It is all very much temporary. Everyone has pointed that out. Both Homa and Jordan Spieth, longtime caddies of with those guys on the bag. I always do wonder though, like if Max Homa were to win this week, could something happen?
It might enter probably none of their minds when you think about, excuse me, Max's relationship with Joe, them being best buddies, and oh my gosh, excuse me,
you got a little tickle.
Greller and Spieth. Well, I'm just emotional talking about this topic because Greller, I understand he's got to keep the wits sharp, the skill set in a good place for Jordan when he returns. He hasn't played since the St. Jude Championship, I believe. That's a long layoff for someone like Greller who is used to getting not berated, but maybe talked to a decent amount. And so this is a way to kind of ease into that for when Jordan does return, get his feet wet a little bit. And Max is obviously a pretty easy bag to carry.
Alex says, will Matt Fitzpatrick bounce back this year? That's interesting. So Max Homa and Matt Fitzpatrick were both on this multi-year improvement, getting better every single year. Matt Fitzpatrick completely fell off a cliff, did not play well. I'm not sure, Patrick, there's really any evidence that there's light at the end of the tunnel here.
I think the positive for Fitzpatrick is he's always been kind of the guy at every level, a U.S. amateur champion, good on the DP World Tour. It obviously took him a little bit of time to win on the PGA Tour. And then with that coming at the U.S. Open and then winning the RBC Heritage the year after. So I think what's interesting is he kind of reverted back to the player he was at the beginning of his career at the end of the season, Rick, where it was just all putting, and he turned into a very poor driver and a very poor iron player. And so I'm not sure if there was anything injury related. I don't think so, because he played a ton of golf to end the year, and I think it was just poor form. So I think the one positive for Fitzpatrick is his pedigree throughout his golfing career has always been towards the high end. So you would think he bounces back, but I'm with you. I would need to see something to indicate that first to have any confidence.
Rank these 5 most likely to make it to midnight. Me, you, Mark, Greg, and Josh.
I think I'm going to go with Josh. I feel like Josh bought himself maybe
100%.
like $125 ticket to a bar in Georgetown.
Yeah.
All you can drink. Come
Young. Yeah.
9:30. He's already on his second Red Bull vodka, and he's going this way.
He's minus up. 350 to make it to midnight in this group.
Absolutely. He's going up. And come 9:30 for us, we're going down.
Yeah. So here's what I think it is. I think it is absolutely Josh number 1. Greg's a wild card because his kids are just the right age to like be really excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, yes, pots and pans, but I think Greg is savvy enough to like show a replay from last year and the kids aren't old enough to tell and then put them down by 8:00. I think that's in Greg. So I'm actually going to go Josh, then Mark. Mark could be sipping his red wine over a nice
boozing tonight, 100%.
Cozy fireplace with friends, telling stories of old Bob Jones, and he'll be up till midnight. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going Greg, you, me. I'm just telling you right now, there is 0 chance I make it to midnight. So like that is a lock central.
Okay, there is a slim chance that I do.
Oh my god, what is that from? Picture? What is that from? That's from Mark's Twitter? That is hilarious.
Looks like the Man in Black.
It looks like
Westworld.
It looks like AI made that.
It does. I have a friend who's like way too deep into AI imaging lately. Might have to check it on tonight. But there is a slim opportunity I do make it to midnight. I'm going to like a small dinner party.
Oh.
Yeah, but
that increases your chances.
Mm-hmm. And if the drinks do start flowing, which I'm telling myself to be good, there's a slim chance.
All right. Well, you're moving up the board already.
But Josh Josh is, I know exactly where Josh is going. I've lived that DC life before.
Who has a better season, Max Homa or Jordan Spieth? Spieth recovering back from wrist surgery that he had at the end of last year.
I'm going to go with Jordan Spieth.
Me too.
I loved the way he drove the golf ball.
So if you say that both of them have things to fix, Spieth, in theory, was just injury related. And if that has just been cleared up, then the fix it's over. It's done. Homa's was like a lot more than that. When you play bad and you're healthy, that scares me as opposed to when you play bad and you're hurt, but then you can get fixed.
Yeah. And with Homa, looks like he might have some new clubs in the bag as well. Could be a Cobra Boy this upcoming year, maybe a Lululemon Stan as well. Rumors are circulating, pictures are circulating. He was doing a clinic there in Hawaii yesterday, wearing all navy blue and a black belt. Not off to a hot start for Lululemon. And with Spieth, where he needs to improve, I think the most non-injury related, Rick, is putting. That
shocking.
That was kind of overshadowed, I think, last year with his iron play is so bad. His short game took a massive dip as well because of the contact with the turf. But on the greens, he was dreadful.
Yes, and I know he's never going to return to that time where 25 footers were like 3 footers, but it's been a weird run for Jordan, and I'm just not ready to bury him just yet. This is a fun one. So Deez asks, what golfer should new fans follow?
That is a great question. Deez, you've redeezed yourself.
He's trying to redeez himself.
Yeah. I'm going to let you go first, Rick.
Well, I think the obvious answer is Rory McIlroy because he's a top 3 player in the world and all-around good guy. I think that if you wanted to go a different route, I wish he was playing better, but Max Homa would be a really good option. Top 12 player in the world when he's going well. Awesome on Twitter. If he played better last year, I would have said Min Woo Lee because he's special and fun. But let's go this. I've digested everything. I want a top player who's easy to root for, who's going to play in big time events and hopefully win. Ludwig Oberg.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest answer. If you want a little personality, I think Sahith and Akshay are 2 guys who are easy to root for and a lot of fun to watch. I mean, they hit some really creative golf shots. You can get in, not at the ground level, but there's still value in them, right? They're like Josh at 9:30 tonight. They're still going up. They still have a couple Red Bull vodkas in front of them. And so you're buying into them. You could buy Hovland low also. Talk about an interesting character. He's awesome to watch. He's really a subtle, great Instagram follow too, going to like Shawshank and like Easter Island and all these crazy places. So I would go with those 3 for golf fans.
All right, maybe one more here. Joseph says, thoughts on the quiet offseason for Liv? No real big moves. That's right. There were rumblings about Tony Finau. Tony Finau, for all intents and purposes, is still going to be on the PGA Tour and teed up at the Sentry this week. So their biggest signing was who?
They signed
somebody to the Ironheads. Oh, no, a young guy.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I'm
one of the top amateurs. Why can't I remember his name?
He's a great talent. Like, definitely a great talent.
It's cut from the path of Eugenio Chacarra.
Yes.
Who was one of the top amateurs, and they signed him. But, we talked about this a lot. It's hard to, a lot of these guys get their name by winning on the PGA Tour or something like that. So it's really hard to know what Chacarra is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Chacarra's already won on Live Golf a couple of years ago. The Ironheads acquired next-gen Korean star Yu Bin Jang.
And the Cliques acquired
the
Danish star Frederick Ketterup.
Yes.
Ketterup.
So a couple really good young players, which honestly, if I was a young golfer and how competitive it can be, if you can secure one of those contracts, absolutely you should go for it. And the same goes for one of these older golfers who were a lot of that initial class. Why is it so quiet? I'm not sure. I have no thoughts on it.
Calm before the storm.
Oh, wow. Do you think Scottie Scheffler is going to live?
Yeah, I think that this hand injury is just a big cover up.
I think you might be right. Josh, clip that.
Run it everywhere. All right, let's go to our wagers. If you've never seen us do that before, here's how it works. Josh gives us $100. We put 50 on a matchup of our choice, 30 on a finishing position, anything we want, and then 10 each on 2 separate outrights. Then we'll get into a little bit of a bonus bet situation in just 1 second, but it is time. Josh, release the grid. Patrick, matchups, and for both of us, they're technically 3 balls. What did you find?
Yes, and for the first-time viewers here, Patrick McDonald, I believe I made $3, $6 in 2024. So a lot to live up for. Had a great fall as well.
Crushed the fall.
And you know who I'm buying this year, Rick? Is Sam Burns. I think he made some real strides in his iron play towards the end of 2024. Like Homa and Cantlay, he too got himself into major championship contention a little bit. You blinked there Sunday at the Open, and you're like, oh my gosh, is Sam Burns in one of these final 3 groups somehow? And I believe he was. He might have shot 85 on the final day, but he was there. He was definitely there. And so on a golf course that is wide open, like Kapalua, on a golf course where you're going to have to make a ton of putts, like Kapalua, I think Sam Burns is a great course fit. I know it hasn't paid off in the past. And then I'm going to put him against 2 flushers of the golf ball. So this could go quite poorly for me quick. But I think Connors and Matsuyama, they don't have the consistency on the greens to keep up with Burns over 4 days.
Flush from Connors and Hideki. I believe Sam Burns had his best major championship finish in 2024. So hopefully we see more of that in 2025. I went with Robert McIntyre, plus 180 over Akshay Patia and Ben On. Robert McIntyre just never stopped playing in the fall. Just rolled right over to the DP World Tour, played great golf. Remember, he won twice on the PGA Tour last year. I think that he is kind of entering a new stage of his career, and I've got him over Akshay and Benny On. Finishing positions, similar name here. Patrick, you've got Robert McIntyre finished inside the top 20. What do you like about him?
Yeah, everything you said pretty much. And left-handers have played pretty well here. I know Brian Harman has a decent record. 60-man field. Let's be honest, the bottom of this field is not the best in the world. So let's cut that down to, 50. I think Bobby Mack can finish into the top half of that at plus 115.
Give me Nico Echeverria plus 115, but this is a top 30. So he's obviously farther down the board than Robert McIntyre is. Was maybe the second best player in the fall. He's maybe the fall MVP. I'm just kind of banking on him being in a tropical location, still playing great golf over the last 3 or 4 months, finding his stride again and beating half the field. And like Patrick said, the real bottom is like pretty stinky.
Tough.
Yeah. So Nico finished inside the top 30 at plus money. Robert McIntyre finished inside the top 20 at plus money. Then the big boys here. We've got 4 separate options. No perfect grid opportunities for this week, at least not with the way that we have constructed it. But Patrick, let's do these one at a time. Give me your first outright, please.
I found a 20 out there on Mr. Ludwig Oberg. I think the only concern would be recently off that knee surgery and the walk around this place, how difficult it can be. But second time around, Kapalua struggled a little bit in the first 3 rounds last year, shot 10 under on Sunday. That gives me enough confidence. I think he's the 3rd best player in this field, and he's not priced like it. So I'm gonna go with him at 20-1.
Yeah. Patrick mentioned like he found a 20. Yeah. Morikawa I've got here at 10-1. There is at least a 12 or a 13 laying out there still. If you really care to squeeze as much value as possible. I'm just like, I'm going to type his name in here a lot, Patrick, this year. The metrics are too good for him to not win a couple of times in 2024. He's done everything but win here. He's usually fast out of the gates in January. Like it's got to be time eventually.
Yeah, he should have won here in 2023. That was probably his 2nd worst collapse following. Here's a question for you that just popped into my mind. Remember the Hero World Challenge? Had he won it,
he would have been the number 1 player in the world. Yeah.
Do you think Colin Morikawa ever gets to world number 1?
God. No.
I don't think so either. I think that was his chance.
Yeah, and there's so many. I mean, first off, Scottie has a stranglehold. His lead right now,
Large.
Yes, and even if he doesn't play anywhere close to the level, like it's gonna be a while before somebody else is the number 1 player in the world. Maybe at least a year, if everything were to go in somebody else's favor. And then you've got Xander to deal with, you've got Rory to deal with, you've got Ludwig to deal with, who still has I believe he still has a denominator boost that's coming to him because he hasn't played enough tournaments. There's probably just not a great path to Morikawa becoming the number 1 player in the world unless he wins like 5 or 6 times in a year.
Yeah, which tough. Or 2 majors or something like that.
Yeah, something like he would need to do something like really kind of historically different.
Yeah. Just thought of it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Max Grazerman is my longer shot here. Like I said, I've I've been steaming him everywhere, and I'm not going to stop now at 40-1. Unbelievable driver. I think that gets mitigated a little bit this week. Unbelievable putter. That'll certainly come in handy. He's 40-1. Patrick, your second one, please.
Every year, I bet this man to win the Sentry, and every year, Friday night, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're such an idiot. And so I'm going to do it again. New year, same me, Rick. Patrick Cantlay to win at 20-1. I think he is in line to win this year, maybe multiple times. I believe I said something similar around this time last year, and he did not win once. So give me Cantlay at 20. I just think he's way too talented to not win since, what was it, the 2022 BMW Championship? 23. 22. 23. 22.
22. So he didn't win in 2023 either?
No, it's because he won at Caves Valley in 21. He won the Delaware delegation in 22. Where was 23? Or maybe I'm a year ahead.
Maybe he didn't. No. I think you're right.
Oh, because Victor won the 23
yeah.
BMW with that back
Yeah,
nine.
so your 2022 BMW Championship. That's right.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Wow. That's kind of hurting my brain a little bit.
Yeah, him, Spieth, JT. Last win's all 2022, I believe.
Yikes. Okay. That is Cantlay. It is Grazerman. It is Morikawa. It is Ludwig for the outrights. Now, Josh gives us an extra 50 as a bonus bet, and there are 0 restrictions here. We can do anything we want with it. Patrick, I'm going to go first because I'm going to cede the stage to you here afterwards. I have a triple threat. 3 golfers. Any one of them can win. I've got Xander Schauffele. I've got Colin Morikawa. I've got Justin Thomas. Any of them to win is plus 230. That's where I put my extra $50. I just think we've talked about all these guys pretty much ad nauseum. 4 guaranteed rounds, best players in the field, plus course history, plus all that fun stuff. Give me these 3. You have similar names, but a different wager.
I'm kind of drafting behind you, sort of like Andy behind Kevin in the fun run in The Office. I'm just right behind you. And I picked Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa both to finish inside the top 10 at plus 240. I think you have 3 things going in these guys' favors. Motivation, high. Form, good. Course history, fantastic. And so my one concern with JT would be, can he make enough putts this week to reach 30-ish under? Maybe, maybe not. But for a top 10, that will be great. And then for Morikawa, it's just a little leeway because I'm in the same boat as you. He turned into a great golfer in 2024, as well-rounded as ever. And that should lead to more success down the road.
So just to be absolutely clear, Patrick has both Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa to finish inside the top 10. That's plus 240. I have Xander, Morikawa, or Justin Thomas to win at plus 230. So that's how we both get there. So both of these could certainly cash together. I'm out of things, Patrick. You got anything else?
Feels weird without the one and done. But
where is that one and done link? Where's the one and done link?
Yeah. And especially off the performance Greg had for us last year, almost winning it. Felt like we were riding some momentum into this year. But I want to give you a shout out, Rick. The new videos you started posting on Instagram and Twitter, tip of the cap. I think they've been awesome. If you haven't watched them, if you aren't following Rick, be sure to do that if you want to be a little more educated throughout this season.
Thank you. I just want to do some new, different, fun stuff in 2025. And that's what I'm going to try to do. So much appreciated to you, Patrick. Happy New Year. Be safe, everybody. Enjoy 2025. We are going to be back on Thursday. No, I screwed it up already. On Friday, which is going to be the halfway point. of the Tournament of Champions. It'll be night golf. It'll be first cut after dark. Do we still have that? Do we still have that logo, Josh? Do we have that neon sign? Give the people a taste of this. What we're gonna have this. Yeah, there we go. Little first cut after dark. Things get a little spicy
They're gonna get weird
after dark. That's right. And then, of course, Sunday as well for the recap episodes. Big thanks, producer Josh, does all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald, available at P McDonald CBS. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been the first cut. Catch you next time.